Hello, Warlords! Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. I am your host, Rodge, as always, joined by my good friend Monty. How are you, Monty?
I'm doing great, Rodge. How about yourself?
I'm good. Very good. How things change in a month. Warm weather. Got the Vacky in my blood, ready to get out there and do some Saga action in person here.
Yes.
I did get a garage game in. It was still a little chilly, I will say. 50s, no sun. It's not a good situation. But as part of that, our topic today will be some tips and tricks for running Saga demos, demo games, some of the nuggets of knowledge that we've picked up. And most of mine have been stolen from you. I'll just admit that up front here. So that'll be our topic for today. And we've got the usual games, paint, and everything else. We're going to get into news and events. Monty, do you got anything kicking around over there? I didn't see anything since last time myself.
Nah, it's pretty quiet. I think we mentioned the Ohio stuff last show, but nothing since then.
Okay, yeah. If you've got an event coming up on the calendar, let me know, and I'll get the word out there. I'll post it in the show leading up to your actual event. And otherwise, I guess we're just sitting tight on the latest Age of Invasion books on the way, hopefully. I don't know. We will see what the Saga gods have in store for us soon enough as we move ahead here. For comments, last time was the 5-year anniversary. Thank you to everybody who chimed in. A lot of old names and faces chiming in, saying hello. It was cool to see all the comments and gratitude. It was certainly humbling. As far as what I want to talk about, I think there's two comments that are kind of related here. So I thought we could just dig into that a little bit, Monty. Okay. So Florian Doer posted about scenarios in tournaments. Oh. And he is from Germany. And he said their three staples are feasting and pillaging, the three objectives in the middle, with the twist that one of them is in a swamp.
Nice.
Change of plans, which is I believe, turn 3 or 4, you calculate massacre or survival. Like turn 5, you do the other one, and then turn 6, I think, is conquest points. And then the last one that they do is Clash of Warlords, with the twist that the game ends on the spot when one of the warlords dies. And if it's a draw, both dies. I guess it's not clear. Can you get like an automatic win if you kill the other warlord? I guess it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. Yeah. I guess and then the other comment that kind of ties into that is Sean Moomey talking once again about Adepticon Saga and tournament organizers, and what factors do we consider when including scenarios in a tournament. So between those two, Monty, I guess any thoughts? Do you like that lineup of scenarios? Would you do an event with those three?
If I can just share my one, and this is not just the laziness of Monty. I have heard this from a player or two. Change of plans is good. If you were going to do it, though, I think I would front load it as the first game when your brain is fresh. Because change of plans has you stop in 3 different places and do math. Like you'll hear people grumble, even when my buddies, I sometimes roll it up, they'll be like, let's roll a second one. And that's okay. But it does press your brain to be able to change your plan. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good approach. And that basically is why I don't generally play that one in pickup games. It's like, I don't want to.
I'm lazy. It's my day off.
Yeah. Because, those points, can be pretty close. I just want a game where we can figure out who wins without having to add it up. That's the pickup game that I'm shooting for. I guess for the other scenarios, I like the feasting and pillaging with the objective in the swamp. I think that's cool. Although, I think the fact goes a long way. Once you grab it, you're stuck for a turn.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, Clash of Warlords. That one, I'm not so sure about that one. I guess for me, picking scenarios, I'm not a fan of necessarily the pitched battle necessarily because of, defensive armies and you can kind of have non-games. So,
right.
At I think it was like last February, the Winter Wolves event. So round 3, Clash of Warlords was against John playing Welsh. So the smart thing for me with my Vikings would be to not engage and basically have a non-game. Would have been my best bet for victory or a draw or, my best chance for a positive outcome. So you don't want to necessarily have that as part of the event. So I guess any scenario that has a little extra something out there to get them working.
Rodge, I would like to just build right off those comments. Like now having done Adepticon for years and been to some events, I know that your average player, like everyone hears Clash of Warlords, they know what to do. Maybe they're kind of tired. So it's easy to pencil in, but I've come along to the position you just described there. I can vouch for the fact, maybe not so much in my games, but I know as someone who was, the TO for a day, that I know we had a top table where Scots versus Yams, and both players after the game complained it ended in a draw because neither would really take the risk to try to win the game, and each waited for the other one, and that's your last game. So we already were trying to troubleshoot this. I like your approach better, but what we had penciled in last year was we were going to try to find some way to get the warlords off their butts and off the back line. Something like if your warlord ends the game, 2-hour mark within 12 inches of your back line, he auto dies out of shame, and and the points go to your opponent. But I don't know. I think maybe a better solution is just drop Clash of Warlords and find another get up and move game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a good point, a good troubleshoot, or is bonus points for getting your warlord to the other side, or just adding some kind of movement element can
get them up and moving.
Go a long way for Clash of Warlords. But
100% agree.
If you can just pick a scenario that you like better out the gate, I think that would work well for you. So Monty and I don't run all the tournaments, but for the Thursday event, it's looking good for 2022. It's a little early to talk about that stuff, but you can expect those kind of scenarios, from me at least, on a Thursday event. So, all right, Monty. Well, thanks again for everyone for the comments. Let's jump into the painting aspect here. Monty, you've got a photo here. You've been kind of a madman, haven't you?
Right. Hey, well, having some fun here, Rodge. I think I've mentioned I was heavy into 15mm ancients for quite a while, and I painted a lot of ancient armies. And I'm really enjoying muscle memory from a long time ago. I painted so many 15mm Numidians, and then I was like, I got like a box of 12 in a trade, and I put them together, and the horses are just so lovely. Like I looked at that, and I'm like, how can I not make a Numidian band? So I did paint them up. It's the bare minimum. It's 6 points, but gets it done. And then I just got them done in time for a Thursday night game, and I broke out the board. I started looking at it, and I started getting in a sweat because I thought, this board, this is like a very, very stripped down and simplified Welsh board. I couldn't find the juice. So anyways, I did get them done. I did get them done, and so on to the next Ancients warband, the Gauls.
Awesome. Wow. That's awesome. These guys look great. I love the basing, the shield, those transfers speedy. Goes a long way.
Yes. And to me, just personal taste, if you can, you put them over pure white and if you could just blend them in, find colors that are very close to the shield color, just kind of feather them in around the edges, it just kind of makes it pretty seamless. And once you flatten it out with a matte spray, people will be like, "Did you hand paint these?" It's like, no, no, I did not. I couldn't in my wildest dreams do some of this stuff, but that's how nice some of the shield transfers turn out. So,
yeah, they look great, and looking forward to the galls. It's funny. Have you painted up any galls yet? When we first talked,
almost finished them
with Hannibal. Yeah, that was kind of going to be like your starting warband, wasn't it originally?
It was.
Taking a winding
road
here.
They sat on the back burner so long, Rodge. I almost lost interest in it. I mean, that sounds weird, but I was so excited in the beginning. And with each passing month, I'm like, oh, they're still not here. And then they got here, and they were in a giant pile. I way overbought. And then it was so much plastic. I was kind of put off. But I finally put the pedal to the metal. It was a bit of work assembling all 48 of the lads and getting the arms sorted, the chariots assembled, but they're on their way. So check the box for another one soon.
Wow, that's awesome. And my first go is going to be the Carthaginians, and part of that was the Numidian box set. So it was going to be a build as you go. So I didn't buy the entire army. I just bought a Victrix set of Numidian, basically these guys here in your photo. So I'm pretty much done with my little heathen project, this part of the project. So I'm looking forward to jumping over to these guys. And I'm painting freehand shields again, Monty. I'm definitely I'm going to the transfers for the Carthaginians. I don't need to do the shields. These look good enough. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. And Rodge, I also owe you a couple sprues of galls just to give you one more foot unit for your Carthaginians. We talked about that.
Yeah,
I got them at spade. So
okay, yeah, the contingents. Yeah, that'll be after the Numidians that are done here. I'll hit you up. Maybe we can add it to the silver foxes. Neoprene delivery whenever that arrives.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, for me, I guess my painting stuff, I didn't send you a photo, but I was just going to talk about the oil painting video. So it finally came out. Monty, did you watch that one?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Masterful. Very nice. Very nicely done.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So there's a few false starts with that. So it was going to be the Irish, and then I had some data management issues with 4K videos, and accidentally cleared out the files that I needed. So moved on from the Irish test models to the Muslim test models. So that's how we got to these guys. So anything with the big flowing robes works. Going to work well with the oils, as you can see. And I think at this point I've talked about the oils enough, Monty, the oil of Olivier. So now I can just refer to people to this video, and hopefully that'll be helpful. So if you haven't seen it yet, take a look. Spend a lot of time on it, and hopefully it can be a good resource for folks. And if you do like it, please share it with others. Get the word out, because I think all I want you to do is just look at it for like 5 minutes, and then you'll be like, yeah, I want to do this, or I don't see what the hype is. So just look at it, see if it's up your alley. I think for me, it's just like it's just fun kind of using those paints. And I've kind of gotten to the point where, it's not like a big hoopla where it's kind of like breaking out the airbrush, where it's like, I got to have a 3-hour window here before I can use the airbrush. So it kind of was like that with oils, where it's like, it's a big deal here. I got to clean everything. And, I need to make sure I have 2 hours before I can do it. Now, basically I have a wet palette with my acrylics. I have another Tupperware with the oils in there, and they'll kind of stay alive for a few days, not like the wet palette. Well, the paints could be going for weeks in there, but basically they're always in there. And then, I'll just like kind of casually pop that open and switch back and forth, at my whimsy. So at this point, yeah, it's not, if you just do it a couple times, it's not a big hassle using the spirits and cleaning everything. So kind of built up my muscle memory on that. So, yeah, as far as this, what do you think of the color scheme, Monty?
So I was going to hit you up with a couple questions, and one of them is, this is a little hard for someone like me. Like, this is the part that creates a little tension. Like, if you said, okay, Monty, I want you to try this, you kind of describe it without a video, and I'd be like, okay, blending, easier to blend. Then my idea would be like, dark to light or light to dark, and then I need to like mix a tan in to bring the color up for my highlights. But what you're doing is you're taking two markedly different colors. You have a blue and you have a pink. And I would never put those two colors together. And then you do it and you blend it and it works. And then I look and I'm like, so what two colors should I put together?
Well,
it's clever. I mean, it's clever. It's just kind of mind breaking for me.
Yeah, I thought that would be good for the video, just to kind of show how extreme you can do it. Now, it doesn't work with every color combination as well as the pink and the blue. They kind of are on the same spectrum in some ways. And I think my preference is probably more towards the way that the Irish turned out. Those, the greens and yellows are kind of more adjacent on the color chart. But looking at them, I think I would probably go a little even darker on, adding some purples to the shadows on the Irish. Once you saw how they stood next to the Muslim guys, they had a lot more dark to light, where the Irish guys were kind of a little more, just kind of a middle spectrum. Not too well, they were super bright, but not, they didn't have many shadows compared to the Muslim guys. So as far as those test schemes, I could definitely see myself picking up a couple boxes of War Games Atlantic and doing some Irish. For the Muslims, I probably wouldn't do the oils necessarily, because I think of the Muslim, I think of Hamza's, just hard D on the Discord server, with fanciful, patterns and stuff like that. So I think I would lean in to trying to do patterns and stuff like that. And I don't think that would really jive well with the oils necessarily. If you have, kind of different colored sleeves and then another color coming down, and kind of like I say in the video, you don't necessarily want to have those colors adjacent, because they could bleed into each other if you're using it with oils. So I mean, I like the way they turned out, but that wouldn't be my go-to for an army of those guys. I definitely would like to do a Muslim force at some point, but just not in that scheme. So keep a lookout there. I do have I'll do a couple more videos at least in that series. So I'm working on the heathens right now. So I get a lot of questions about the heathens and how I use the airbrush. So I will have at least one more video just showing how I use the airbrush on the Viking heathens. And those are the guys I'm working on right now. I'm pretty pumped about those guys. So my original goal was to finish them before I was vaccinated and, kind of clear to go out into the world. But within a couple days of that episode coming out, they moved the timeline up for people in my state. And, I was vaccinated within like a couple days of that video coming out. And I just got my second one a couple days before this video. So I'm okay with that, but that milestone, it's just not going to be feasible to hit it. But I'm working on the heathens, and I'm having a lot of fun with these guys. I don't know what it is or the switch. I was kind of miserable. Not miserable, but I wasn't super excited about how they were turning out last year. And then just later this year, I went back and kind of zazzed them up with more highlights and stuff. So for this batch, I'm starting, base coats, airbrush, then going on the highlights, and I'm just giggling the whole way. And I'm just having fun. So the only pain was I was definitely rusty with the airbrush, and it took me a while to get the hang of it. And I think I don't know. I use it for shading the models, and that turned out okay. But I think I botched some of the shields, so I'm looking at a possible reprime on some shields, freehand, and then reshade with airbrush. I don't know. I'll see if I can fix it in post here, but by the end, I was feeling pretty good and ready to do a showcase video about it. But
nice.
So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm pumped about that. I'm working on it. Hopefully, in June. I think I could have all the foot sloggers done for sure. There's going to be a cavalry element for the Pagan Peoples version, but so that might not be done. But I think I could have the foot sloggers very near completion, including some berserkers, Monty.
Perfect.
So that should be cool.
I know how they hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is it for me in the painting. Check out the video if you haven't, please. And if you do like it, please share it and get the word out to other folks out there. Okay. Battles. Monty, battle. Do you have a game of Saga you'd like to share?
I do. I mean, or is it repetitive to just kind of briefly discuss the one you put up on the web, our last battle?
Oh yeah, the campaign. Yeah, can do. We'll do the campaign. That's kind of its own section now. It
could be kind of quick too. Like it's.
Since you finally won one, I was just going to gloss. So I wasn't even going to mention it, Monty. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I was feeling a little sheepish about that one. Yeah. It's not about how many massacre points you get, but about herding cows.
I grabbed the bull by the horns, Monty.
Yeah. Yes, I did. So you have a video on it, so I'll just kind of drill down to the highlights. Like my thought was you graciously gave me an out by switching to the Eastern Princes, and I decided to make a switch to the Levant Crusaders. I'd been kind of avoiding them on purpose because I've seen them a lot, and my buddy runs them. That's his favorite. Don't really need to step on like his thing. Sure, I can do it too, but for the purposes of getting a win, I kind of looked at their board and I thought about their play. The Peasants' Crusade lets them, as long as you have one unit of pilgrims in it, you get to activate all your levy and all your warriors fatigue free. And it's wide open. It says activate. Yeah. So, you can activate to rest. You can activate to shoot with your warriors with, shooting weapons. You can activate to charge. You can activate to move. It's a great 2-dice ability. And as I looked at that scenario, the key is you have to activate a unit to move near the livestock base within VS. And that when you do that, you kind of get to move them, I think it's 4 inches, and you're trying to herd them off your corner. And then your opponent's trying to do the same thing. So my whole setup here was I was just desperate to kind of do back to you what you'd done to me, which is come into a game, I would be the one multi-activating, I would be the one coming in waves and try to take advantage of that and get a leg up. And in the early going, it was a very early morning. I maybe didn't have enough coffee, but I was kind of stumbling. The cows were kind of getting in the way. My units were getting in the way, but pretty quickly we kind of, I kind of got the feel for it, and I was able to you can activate them up to 2 turns. So pretty soon I was getting them double activated and get them all coming my way. And I got the jump on you. I had waves of activations. I was putting all my dice into just moving. And that kind of did the trick. Not deeply satisfying, but it still was a win.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that we played that scenario. I think For the legendary ones, that's probably the tamest, the most like fair. I would, kind of a pitched battle. I know there's like at least one like impossible one with like going through the villages or burning stuff down. So you didn't make me run through that. And this is perfect. You just kind of stacked up a couple things in your favor, and I was happy to play the game and run with the princes. And yeah, it definitely kind of got away from me, with the terrain and stuff. I should have, I was setting up some combats. I should have just been using everything in activations, kind of like basically what you were doing, and then at least have a little tug of war, and maybe we start fighting in the middle. It would have been tough. You have a more activation efficiency than I do, so every one that I can pull back, you might be pulling two back, but we would have more of a game that way. I guess I did get to use the Droog ability. That was my side goal. I think I mentioned that straight up. And it worked
like a charm.
Yeah, so there's definitely some corner cases for that ability. And it kind of plays into Lords of the East, which is the resilience one. So when I did this board review initially, I didn't like 4 packs of Hearthguard. I didn't like Mounted Javelin Hearthguard. I didn't like that resilience ability. But now kind of playing it, just in our campaign, I've turned around on 4 packs of Hearthguard. You've been using them. I've been using them. I think with that resilience ability, it's actually a pretty good defensive ability. And, the issue is, if they follow it up with another attack, they can, if you soak up an entire melee, well, they just fight you again and take you down and wipe you out on the second go. So your goal is kind of just using movement to prevent that and being strategic. So the other thing, too, I think, when I was thinking about that ability when I was doing the faction review, I was thinking about 6 packs of Hearthguard. So that, that really hurts if you soak up the wounds and then they come in and then wipe them out. Where with the 4 packs of Hearthguard, if you double down and take them out, it's like, well, okay. Like, it's just a 4 pack, and I could have 1 or 2 more waiting in the wings to go. So yeah, I think there's some really good abilities on the board, and there's a couple stinkers, corner cases on there you probably wouldn't use, but I kind of like that because I don't have to think as hard. It's just like with playing the Yams Vikings. It's just boom. I roll this, I put boom, 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 boom. Yep. That's what you do. And there isn't really an option. That's what you do. It's not quite that straightforward, but I just kind of like it. You don't have to think quite as hard. I don't know. I guess with the pagan peoples, there was always so much you could do, and trying to narrow it down and come up with a plan was overwhelming. Where this was more straightforward with the attack pieces and what I was going to do. So,
right.
I'm looking forward to running them against you again. Let's do a straight up fight
in an actual fight, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, Monty.
I was just going to say, so even though the Levant Crusaders proved themselves to be better cow wranglers, I saw enough of your Eastern princes to have a healthy respect for like the rematch to come. You have the one ability that you can put and close out. Like if I use a certain ability, advanced ability off my board, you just pick the juiciest one. And then I need to use it or want to use it. My board's built around it. My build maybe I need to move. And you just block it, and then you pull 2 rares every turn. So while I was hyper activating with the President's Crusade, you also were trying to block it and picking up 2 rares to feed your board. So it was interesting. There was an interesting dynamic going back and forth there. So, and I do agree about the Javelin Hearthguard 4-packs. You have proven those to be very powerful. That +1 ramped their dice up here and there. And they were the ones, I think, what was it, your Warlord or your 4-pack that wiped out my Pilgrims to a man. A man.
That was awesome little run there.
That hurt a little bit.
It was the Hearthguard. And, just to go back on the board, it's a good combined arms board. It's got a little bit of everything. I got some fatigue management. I've got movement on your turn. It's not super annoying, but it allows me to move around. I got a little defense, Lords of the East. I can shoot a little better. I got just a little bit of everything. So I think it's a pretty good combined arms board. It's tricky to get those right, and I guess I'll probably just jump into my game. So I'll explain my game first, and then we can come back around to you, and you'll finish with your other game. So, that's it for the campaign. So it's sitting at three victories for the Pagans, 1 draw, and 1 defeat. And so you flip that around. That's what Monty's got. And I'm going to set the tone for the next one. And so I'll pick a scenario. I don't have anything in mind yet, but I'll go through our checklist, and then I think we'll look to finish it out maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 games here, just to have a deadline in sight that we can set our sights on for the great 2021 campaign. Did it start in 2020? When was the first game? I think we've done 1 game a month. Yeah, I think it's 2021.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think so. Yes.
Okay. Well, the segue was supposed to be combined arm boards. So I played my first game, Age of Hannibal. Played it on Tabletop Simulator. I played against Romans. Played Aaron. He's a Chicago guy. And the Carthaginian board was very interesting. So one thing was we did play the prize possession scenario. So this is the one. I was I don't know if it's the defender or the attacker, but I'm trying to get the 3 baggages off the board. And so it was kind of a atypical, battle just based off that. So some abilities that I thought I'd use every turn, like delay, stacking a rare there. I didn't do that once. I actually used my rares for redeployment to get my troops moving. It was really interesting playing the board here. It's kind of interesting to mix with contingents and the citizens, and it really limits the options, but the way that the Roman board plays, it also kind of has the same issue depending on your troop types and what you took. And you're kind of really hemmed in on what abilities you can use. And I guess I was surprised by, I had a lot of efficiency, a lot of activations, pretty good shooting. But as far as the hitting power, I felt it was kind of missing here because the Sacred Band ability was great. That's the one where they have to reroll defense dice.
Yep.
So it's 3 if it's citizens, which is great, but it's just 1 if you're a contingent. So is it even? It's almost not even almost give me a combat bonus. I don't know. It's questionable whether it's worth an uncommon dice for that. I guess. I kind of pictured I had 2 units of Javelin Cav, an Elephant, a Hearthguard Cav, a contingent on foot, and a citizen on foot. I think those was my points. So one thing I thought I would do is attack with the Javelin Cav use tenacity because those are contingents. But the the rerolls are good if you also have bonus defense dice, and you don't get that. So on both of my big attacks, they didn't really help me. Like I didn't make the saves, and then I re-rolled them, and then didn't make them again. So I guess in my mind, I thought I'd be bulletproof going in with those, but it wasn't to be. And it kind of shows the difficulty of building a good combined arms board, because like the Roman board, if we go to that one, it has defensive abilities which stack. Just having abilities that stack on top of each other, the power and the synergy and the possibilities are so much more, where you have the combined arms board trying to do a little bit of everything and not necessarily building on themselves. And even just like this coordination ability, I guess I never realized it was a rare, and so I'm kind of averse to 6s to hit. And then Student of Xanthipus, that's 2 dice. So you need a common, uncommon, and a rare. And if you don't roll the right numbers, it still might not do anything for you. So I got to play a couple more games with this board for sure. I guess I was wasn't what I was expecting. It did end up being a victory for the Carthaginians. And I guess the Romer board had some really just fun, straight up good abilities. The Hearthguard Defenders, 2 automatic hits on your opponents. That's a great ability. But it also had some issues with mana pulls, limitation, infantry, warriors on foot. So he would stack up his board. But on one turn, I'm like, well, I'll just smash your levy because none of your abilities will help you. And then the next turn, he kind of had the same thing, queued up all these abilities, and then I'm like, well, I'll go after the cav, the 1 unit of cav, because they also don't get any of the abilities.
Right.
And then, so finally, he just had the Roman infantry line, and at that point, that's when I smashed the elephant in. He had all the abilities, and I'm like, well, we're just going in. And so the elephant was fun. It's kind of cool with the resilience too. Just being able to plow into a unit and do some damage and certainly survive. The follow up on the next turn he went down. He was exhausted, but just nice getting those automatic hits, both on the attack and defense. I guess that kind of really makes him fun.
Even when he's exhausted, he's dishing out those auto hits.
Those two auto hits. So if he didn't have that on the defense side, it would be very questionable. But I was pretty happy with them. He's a kind of a slow poke, but it was nice smashing them in. And I guess the one thing I didn't realize with the Roman board too, I guess I thought the mana pulls were exactly units of 8, but it's just 8 or less. So
yes, 8 or less. That's good. Me likey, Monty. Like small warrior units. So you got some games in with the Romans or against them? Yeah, I have, and I was very impressed with them. Again, it's one of those things. This is just really a fun time because we're kind of bouncing around, trying different builds, pushing different stuff. The one time I tried the Romans, 2 things struck me. One is I was organizing. I think I took like 3 points of warriors and I put them in 6 packs, and pretty quickly they're down to 4 packs. And then using like close formation and the ability that gives you dice when you're for each figure you're outnumbered by. So when my 4-pack got hit by an 4-pack, got hit by an 8-pack of warriors, I picked up 4 dice for a common. I had a rare on close formation, and my 4-pack dished hits, lost nothing, stood there. I rested at my turn, and then charged with it, picked up another 4 dice for a common, and I was like, wow, these 4-packs of warriors really could dish the pain, super efficient. And I know you're riding a fine line there, because then the second wave, he got wiped out. I wasn't going to get that lucky twice. But and the second thing that struck me, since we're talking about him, is when you combine quincux, where you have 2 units that get to move 10 inches.
That's like the cornerstone, I think,
right,
of
the
board.
And dude, stack in a Weobay and a die, and now you've moved them, and a Legion. And if you get really lucky, with a Legion with a rare, you can move 2 units 16 inches in 2 turns, and then play Legion and sweep the fatigue off both, and it's like you have foot cavalry. Amazing.
Yeah, and so based off that, we're kind of talking after the game. You know, like I said, I beat up the Levy and the Cav.
Mounted, right?
I'm like, with that quincux ability, like, you can just take the line, the wall of meat, and I think you would do very well. It's nice having some speed, but I mean, that's you got the speed, you've got the ability, the speed. Yep. And he actually did run 4 packs of warriors just straight out the gate, and so they worked out pretty well for him. Like you said, they were kind of like stubbornly resilient, and
right.
I tried to pling like 1 off of every one of them, and like he made all the saves with my like little 1 javelin shot, just to kill the 1 to get the Saga dice.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yeah,
that's how it goes sometimes.
So I think maybe having units of 5 or 6, just so that 1 little pling.
That's it.
Because there'll be another game where every single one of them goes down.
Yes,
and
all your Saga dice.
You're down like 4 dice. So just having that 5 or 6, depending on how many warriors you want to take. So yeah, very, very cool, very fun with my first Hannibal experience, and looking forward to more. Looking forward to getting some stuff painted up. I might have to get the Roman box set, the wall of beef. It's real. Right? I can bang that out in no time.
It really is. Dude, this is kind of embarrassing to admit, because I really should be more methodical when I pick my projects. A newer player hit me up and asked about options for metal Carthaginian figures. So I jumped on the web and I popped into Aventine Miniatures, which is in Ireland. And I got to tell you, I went there to look for this guy, and when I was done, I have a Republican Roman army coming in the mail to me. They're some of the most beautiful, they're some of the most beautiful figures I've ever seen. And I thought, thinking of my friend's motto, he said, "Life's too short to paint, bad figures." So I was like, these are beautiful. I will be so happy painting them. And so here they'll be coming over. That'll be something in the queue for me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That'll be exciting when those guys arrive. Can't wait to see. And I'm sure the shipping will take longer than the painting.
Ooh, yeah. The shipping is pricey, but I even though I am cheap, I am so cheap. I put them down. I walked away, and I'm like, oh, they're just so beautiful. Go ahead, order it. You could do it.
That's right, Monty. You deserve it. After all, you're like psyching yourself up.
Exactly.
Awesome.
It worked.
All right. Well, that was one of my games you played. So do you want to jump into one of your games?
Yeah. So I'll go just a little bit light. So the Numidians I finished this month, and my thing is, as soon as I finish them, or even before they're finished, like, you right away, like, I want to play them. I want to play them. So I got them out twice. Like I said, when I was studying the board the night before, I was kind of rolling my dice, and I was trying to, I don't want to be too harsh, but I was kind of like picking it apart. I'm like, oh, dude, what did you do? What am I going to do with this board, right? It leans pretty hard on the uncommons, and if you want to stack some kind of cool things, you need to spit a lot of uncommons out of your hand, and I just couldn't quite map out a plan. So I'm very surprised to report that they've had 2 runouts, and they actually managed to nip out a win. They do, this javelin warrior, mounted warrior army. It doesn't last long. So yeah, you gotta like it's 3-3, right? So they die to bowfire easily, they die in melee easily. But my build for now is like 1 point of levy, shield, and spear, just to give you some muscle that isn't gonna die. And then they screen the elephant. The two of them are kind of probably going up the gut. And then wings are mounted. And I was kind of messing around. I was trying like moving up on a die, shoot, pull a die or two to like juice the shooting, and then pull back. And I did that once, and I spent like at least 3 Saga die, maybe 4, and completely muffed it, hit nothing. Now I'm back there with a fatigue, and I'm like, that is not efficient. That is not how you're going to win this game. So I learned that didn't work. In my second game, playing Feasting and Pillaging with the 3 objectives, the good news is I get across the table fast. The bad news, I was playing Carthaginians like you with a 2 elephant build. So like elephants are horse wreckers. They want to meet some mounted. They just shout, 4 auto hits. I get a -1. And it was trending kind of badly, but I just kind of laser focused on like, okay, get these objectives. If I can get them off the table, I get 12 points, and that'll make up for the differential in survival points, because my army is just disappearing. He's using, like you were talking about, he's using encirclement every turn on 1 die. He's moving 3 units, and I have no kind of mass activation to match him die for die. So he's overwhelming me. He's catching me, and I'm just trying to like hustle the 2 objectives off. And we came to a tug of war right at the board's edge. He tried kind of a desperate charge with his warlord. I survived it. I rolled just what I needed, and I got both the objectives off the board, nipping out a win. And meanwhile, of my 32 mounted horse warriors, I had 3 left at game's finish.
That's a bloodbath.
Just like this. I'm like, this army does not stick around. You don't have to worry about closing ranks or making difficult decisions like that.
Good tournament army then. Always finish your rounds. Your opponent.
Yes.
The key to good sports is letting your opponent killing your guys. So you're already doing that. So
he'll be on his way to Slaughter King.
Awesome. Yeah. Like you said, I don't think you mentioned in this episode, but the interesting thing with the Numidians is it's a fully double purpose board, because you can just use it straight up as a Carthaginian board, which I think we mentioned in prior episodes.
Yes.
So do you still have these guys? Have you sold them yet?
I still have them. Someone's thinking of buying them, but for now I have them. I do want to run them on the Carthaginian board. I've been trying to not do it because I started with just a little bit of prejudice in my mind. Like, I looked at the 2 boards side by side. I'm rolling like 2 hands, and I'm like, I know what to do. Like, if I had them as Carthaginians, and I throw my Numidian dice, I look and I'm like, what am I doing here? And there are some kind of deeper plays in here. There's a really tricky one, and in 2 games, it's very situational. I have not been able to pop it on my buddies, but there is one trap which reminds me a little bit of the Welsh ability Taunt, where you get out there, you play it, and you pull the enemy 4 inches towards you. So that means if you get it right, you can pull mounted into uneven. You could pull infantry potentially into marsh. You could pull someone away from the warlord. You could pull levy out of hard cover and then charge them. But again, it's situational, and I don't know. There's enough there that they are 2-0. That's something. And I do want to try them as Carthaginians and see just how that works.
Yeah. That would be interesting, especially if you just used them straight up as contingents without budging it.
That's it.
I mean, the elephant is a citizen.
That's right.
So you would still be able to use all the abilities.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see how it goes for you. And get your thoughts on the board. It'd be interesting to report back on.
It's fun. It moves quickly. And I do like the idea of Eagle Eye, juicing my Numidian shooting with 2 dice, or if I put a rare down, 4.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Ignoring cover, right?
I like that.
That's the money, baby.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we talked about paint, games, our campaign, and why don't we dig into the main topic here? So we're just going to give out some tips and tricks that we've learned running demo games for folks over the years. So as we get back out there, hopefully you've got a few demos lined up. You've been showing off pretty pictures of your models over the winter and piqued some interest from the folks. Monty, I guess what's one piece of advice you could offer or a stratagem?
Right. There's a number of things. You want to keep it easy. You don't want to make it too difficult. And honestly, you asked me one thing. Why don't we start with one thing?
Yeah.
I think like a 4-point build is a good one. I mean, if someone really wants to do 6, 4 might be good for their very first one because you're just like, it's training wheels. You're just getting a taste. And I actually was thinking for a demo game I'm going to do, I might do 6, but I could also like talk him through, see what his time frame is, and maybe set up 4 and just run it twice or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for some reason that never even crossed my radar. But running the 4 points, a lot of the times, once you get into the game, 6 points, halfway through they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm in a really bad position now because of the decisions I've made previously, and you kind of got to finish the game, keep it going. Where I like that 4 points, plan for 2, kind of dive in, do a little tit for tat, maybe quick kill a warlord or something if they leave them out there and say you see how it works. Let's do it again. I think that's a great piece of advice. Just running the 4 points. Even Age of Magic, I think you could run that 4 points, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a great tip. My tip, this is probably one of yours. I'm stealing it, but using the same board and doing a mirror match, be it with Vikings or what have you. So I recently did one with the Otherworld for Age of Magic. So that definitely simplified things when you're using the same board, you have the same dice with the same symbols. So you're not, Saga is about reading the other guy's board. So you're not even really getting into that yet. He doesn't have to memorize new symbols. You can explain the abilities, show how they work on your turn, and then he can use those same abilities, or you pop a sweet combo, then he gets to do it, and there's like kind of like an immediate feedback, and it just kind of speeds things up, right?
Agree. Good tip. Love it.
Okay. You got what else you got in the hopper here, Monty?
Again, it's an intro game, so you might just kind of lightly preset the terrain. Again, terrain is a whole game within the game, so you could throw down 3 pieces kind of in a triangle shape, make it a little colorful, put something colorful out on the field, and that's your starting point. But I love that. I love that. It's just like you're going out, someone's going to be, of course, I would say one other tip too, of course. How did I miss this one? So before the game, I would tell my opponent, especially since most newer players, more than 50% probably are starting with Vikings, or that's a good board to start with. I would steer them to the Saga Thursday show where you talk to Milhouse about how to run Vikings. And they don't need to know it in granular detail, but at least they'll hear some things, and maybe if they have the board out, they can look and listen and kind of digest like what that's all about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's a good tip. So obviously driving traffic to Saga Thursday videos is an excellent tip. I highly encourage that. But yeah, I guess I didn't even think about it. I did just preset up the terrain for my recent demo game. So yeah, I don't think there's any merit in even diving into that. I mean, because obviously they don't know. I guess the other thing too, I just used woods.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was that. I maybe use rocks and woods. So when you set up the terrain, maybe just use 1 or 2 pieces. And, obviously it's not super strategic on which ones you want to use, but just keeping it simple. I think that's a great idea. Just having it set up. So my next tip is to don't explain maneuvers and don't use maneuvers in your games, at least until they get a couple games, and then you'll be like, well, there's a really cool rule, actually. I've had to spend more of my time explaining the maneuvers, and just set up 12 inches on the starting line, and Saga First Edition had no maneuvers. You can spend your dice, moving your guys in. Just that's a complication of keeping your guys 12 out, and then they're like kind of confused on normal moves then, and whether they can go in and out. So I love maneuvers. I think they add a lot to the game, but I would just leave those out of the demo games and don't even explain. Even the word maneuver is like it's like a game term, and like I don't know, it just doesn't sound good. I don't want to learn about maneuvers for a game that's supposed to be light and fun, and you're talking about maneuvers. I don't know. It's just
I love it.
So just avoid some pain and just keep it simple. That's not what the game is about. The game is about rolling the Saga dice, allocating, and fighting. So let's keep the focus there, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. What? Anything else, Monty? What else you got?
So this is me. Since you're playing probably, like you said, a mirror match, you don't want to go for the throat. You want to make it engaging. You want to give them a moment when they get like a nice charge and kind of throw lots of their dice and pick up figures. And if it's possible, right? I mean, you can kind of play in a way that you come up to the last turn, and it might be like my favorite Saga games are the ones where you come into the last turn and it's on a knife's edge. It could be your opponent's win. It could be your win. You're both in it to win it. And that's perfect. Like if you could just kind of muddle, just as an experienced player, kind of muddle around just a little bit, not do your best moves. And then, and I've had people say that where like the game's over and they get the win and they go, you did a good job. You made sure that I won so that the hook would be set. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, Rodge.
Well, that's the skill, and, giving them the win without revealing it, just being so obvious about it. So, doing moves earlier in the game to put yourself in a bad spot is the key point there. Far as scenario goes, I actually like prize possessions again. And I would actually... So with that one, it gives... So as the person trying to get the guys off, it's actually a very difficult scenario. So you kind of have like a little challenge for yourself within the game, keeping it interesting for yourself. You're not just pushing the models around. You're actually trying to get them off the table. And especially if you're not using maneuvers, it's even more difficult to get those little buggers off. So you're keeping it interesting for yourself that way. And then they have like a focus or a goal that isn't complicated. So if you do, just a straight up fight, they have a board full of Saga abilities, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. All these abilities kill you gooder, and how am I supposed to know which ones to use or when to charge or whatever? So this kind of gives them a focus. They just need to block the guys, and if they can kill them, they can have a really good chance of winning the scenario. So I like that one for that reason. With the objectives and stuff, there's like more explanation and stuff that you have to get into. So this is more simple. It makes sense. I'm trying to get off the board and you're trying to stop me. And you kind of they have a kind of like a guiding focus on what they can do. And And then the other thing too about this scenario specifically is they're going to see some of the Saga flair with double activations, using fatigue to slow movements to cancel activations. So you're gonna get into that for sure, where you might not actually maybe get into that in like a normal game. So you kind of showcasing some of the fatigue mechanic, and you're like, well, you can actually, I'm about to get off the board, but you can use the 2 fatigues to stop me right there.
Nice, right.
So I think that's a good one. So Herkus, Monte, he started a campaign, the Limes scenario. So I think that one would also be a good scenario, like and that one, there's no additional mile. You're just trying to get off the board, like the barbarians, I think.
Yep.
So you could set that one up, and I kind of like that even better, I think, because then you don't have these extra models that have determination and unarmed and resilience 1 at 3 attacks. There's like another stat line of special rules, so you don't even have to get into that. You can just play that one, or I'm trying to get off the board, you're trying to stop me, or flip it around. I don't know what would be easier, but I think that would be a good way to run the demo and help them out. What do you think, Monty?
I like it. I've never done that, but I like it because then I'm the one trying to drive the train across the board, and then they're just, like you said, trying to get in my way, beat it up. And that actually, like you said, is pretty hard to get that stuff off the board. So I like that. Scope it down. Keep it simple.
Absolutely. Anything else, Monty, in the hopper? Tips and tricks?
Right. The only thing I can think is that if everyone at the table is of, drinking age, maybe a beer or cold beverage of your choice. Doesn't have to be beer. It
yes.
could be a Coca-Cola. Get your opponent cold beverage.
Sparkling water. Yeah.
There you go.
I agree. I think that's a good call. I guess the other couple other things was just keep it simple when you can. So limiting troops types, especially for Age of Magic. So in my demo game, I ran nothing but creatures for my otherworld. So like once he fought one of the creature unit, he knew how the creatures worked, and so that was like all my units. And then that was also an interesting challenge playing with nothing but creatures. For the most part, I think I had one flying unit. We didn't use magic. I wouldn't use magic in a demo game. Especially Saga. I don't know. It's not that fancy. The magic is in the boards, Monty. It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not in the magic dice. Yeah? It's in your heart. The last thing I would do is try to. So the Vikings are great for this because they don't have any defense dice abilities.
Right.
But just picking boards that don't have defense dice bonuses because of the defense dice math is, that's like a second or third game number there. When I take 6 hits, I roll them, I fail 3, I take 3 wounds. That's simple math when you're adding the defense dice. And then, hold up a second there. You're counting successes here, not so it's actually a 1. So I don't think you need to get into that in a demo game. That's always something people get confused about, even Adepticon tournaments. I'm in game 2 or 3 explaining it to the guy across from me. Well, actually, nope, you gotta flip it. You have some defense dice there, so you saved a couple extra. So I think the Vikings are a good board. They don't have anything. I would avoid the Scots, Monty.
Oh my gosh,
not a good one for the demos. I really, what speaking of the Scots, the Scots would be horrible for a demo game. I think, in my opinion, we had like a little campaign here 5 or 6 years ago, right when the channel was starting. So there's kind of early videos, kind of tangentially mentioning it. And one guy, Matt, he was a veteran Saga player, and he ran Scots. And then he was playing a new guy using Militus Christi or whatever in first edition. And Matt set up, the little combos on the board, and then Mike charged in, and then he was completely annihilated by the Scots, and he didn't like Saga after that. Wasn't a fan anymore.
Yeah.
So, I guess something to keep an eye out in your games, but that's it. That's about it. I like the stuff you said. Set up the terrain, 4 points. In my game, I even I had my stuff already deployed, when he showed up. So you could even do deployment.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're on the 12-inch line.
Yep.
So when you don't use the maneuvers, it doesn't really matter that much. You're using the same board, so they're picking up on it quick. They're seeing how stuff works, and you're playing maybe prized possession, something else. Something you made up. Just I'm trying to get off the board, try to stop me, and take it from there. I think you have a good demo game on your hands. I think you got a convert. You do all that, Monty?
Yeah.
I think you got a new player.
I think so, Rodge, and that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's it. If you have tips yourself about what you do to break in new players, drum up interest, please post below. Yeah, I guess we're kind of talking about the actual game itself. I guess I haven't thought about techniques for arranging the game or setting it up necessarily. So I think comments like that could be helpful as far as drumming up new folks. And I'm just looking forward to get it out there, playing games with folks in 2021 here.
Same. And the thing is, at least in my backyard, in my community, people come, people go, people have other interests. There's a couple of our Saga players who are moving out of state. You know what I mean? And so the status quo really is, it's, you got to work at it to keep it going. So that's my goal. And what's kind of nice, Rodge, is I've had a couple people hit me up who say, one of them's like, hey, I kind of let social gaming go by the wayside. I really want to get back in. I'm like, hey, come on down. Another person hit me up and said, I haven't gamed, and I had kids and kind of took a pause. I want to get back to it. I'm like, come on down. We'll be doing a demo game in a couple of 3 weeks. So try to keep it going.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I guess whenever you're out there, make sure you have another your extra war band or something brought with you. You never know when you might be doing a quick little 4-point matchup or something like that. I think that's a good idea.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, and I totally agree. You gotta keep adding folks. People, situations change, and people move, like you said. So we got to do what we can to keep the game alive. So, all right. Well, that's gonna wrap up this episode here, Monty.
Nice.
I think we did another good one.
Yeah.
Pat ourselves up. I can't pat you on the back, so I'll pat myself on the back here. I think you did good work again, my friend. It was interesting to hear your thoughts on your games and your paints. Can't wait to see how many armies have you painted in 2021?
Ooh.
The goals will be done by next time, you said.
Yeah, they will be.
It's almost like one a month here. It's
pretty close. It's pretty close. Part of it is weekends come, and other than hiking and the weather, the long winter, kind of inbound.
Yeah.
I need to I actually did. So Rodge, I know, so nobody worries too much. I actually did think, because I have been pretty keeping up a pretty high pace here, but I don't want to burn out. And also the world of sales has slowed down because people aren't out and playing. So I did tell myself, when I finish the Gauls, I might take a little bit of a break. But I got to tell you, if the Romans show up and I look at them and they're beautiful like they think, well, it may be a very short break.
Okay, well, yeah, man, keep it going for sure.
It's fun.
I'm gonna have to go back and look. I mean, if it's 6 more bands in 6 months, I mean, you kind of got to go for the full 12, don't you? Right? I mean, you're halfway there. So keep it in mind. I'm trying to finish one more band here.
Yes, but oh my gosh, a beautiful warband.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Once they're done, I'm gonna build a little backdrop because I like Monty's little backdrop there for pics. So we'll match the basing, and I'll get some group pics. So that's something I haven't done yet. So they look pretty good in my plastic bin. I'll say that. I think they could look pretty good on a battlefield or lined up on a backdrop like that. So hopefully sometime soon. I'm doing my best here, Monty.
That's all you can do.
That's all we can do. And I'm happy with that. And we'll keep it going here. So thanks for watching and subscribe and all that stuff. Post below with your thoughts on demo games, stuff like that. And we'll check you next time. Later, folks.
Bye-bye.
Saga!